Welcome to Get to Know Your City. I'm your host, Tom Loucks, River City's Community Access Coordinator for the City of Wisconsin Rapids. This program is for you to learn more about what's happening in your city government right here in Wisconsin Rapids. Today I have a very special guest, Stephen Koth, Alderperson from District 5 in Wisconsin Rapids. So let's hear from Stephen.
I'm from the area, grew up out over by the Kellner area, graduated Lincoln High School in 1999. Was in the National Guard for 10 and a half years, went to Iraq 04-05. During that time, I did move out of the area for a while. I was over in western Wisconsin, lived in Pierce County, around that area. Did a lot of manufacturing work over there. Also worked for the River Falls Police Department as a reserve officer for 10 years. About early 2012, my wife and I made the decision to move back to the central Wisconsin area, and we did that. 2013, I started attending school at Mid-State Technical College for their accounting program, and just this year in May completed a 2-year accounting degree through Mid-State. Didn't really use the accounting degree. Was offered a job with the Sheriff's Department in their jail division, and took that, and that's where I'm currently employed full-time. And then, of course, in addition to my full-time employment, I serve as Alderperson for the 5th District in the city.
Well, congratulations on graduating from Mid-State. That's always a lot of work to do, and going back to school, and having a family, and you're on the council as well as on the Public Works Committee, so that keeps you quite busy. And you were elected in 2014, is that correct, or 2015?
Nope, this year,
2015, that's right. You took the place of Andrew Kirkpatrick here in the spring, and you serve a 2-year term, is that correct?
That is correct.
All righty. Well, let's get right into it for our viewers here, and let's talk about the process and how someone like the residents here brings something to your attention, especially in District 5. Those are the people that you work with, that you represent, and if they have an issue, they can call you, they can talk about it. How does someone bring that process to the council or to yourself?
Well, if anyone has an issue, you're always free to call me. I know my number scrolls across on River City's Access, but I'll take a moment and throw it out there if anyone wants to write it down. It's 715-697-3192. It's a cell number. You call it anytime you want. But there's a process to get stuff before the council, and it's something that I learned kind of while I was running and before I got on council, is that if you have an issue, you just can't take it up to the council and shove it in there. There has to be a process to it. So you have to identify the issue and then get it to a committee, and then ultimately it'll go before the council. So generally, if one of my constituents has an issue, what I have to do is take that issue and identify what committee or commission that issue would fit into, contact the chairperson of that committee or commission, and then they'll get it on the agenda. And when it goes to that committee or commission, there has to be a 48-hour notice of that issue as it's going out there. So if anyone from the public wants to speak for or against the issue, they know about it and they have the right to come in and speak on it. The other way that we can get stuff referred to committees or commissions is to make a referral from the council, which I've seen done a couple times now. At the end of the council meeting, they'll say, are there any referrals for committees or commissions? And if any alderperson chooses to do so, they can identify an issue and refer it to the appropriate committee or commission that's going to deal with it. But what I want to stress is really important is when these issues are identified and they go before the committee or the commission, the citizen that wanted that issue brought up, I really need to stress the importance to go and say what you need to say at these committees or commissions, because it's made up of, the committees are 3 alderpersons each, and before that issue moves up to the full council, it has to pass that committee, which takes a 2/3 vote from the committee members, and it's kind of hard to do the job on your own if you're carrying it yourself.
You're on the Public Works Committee.
Yep.
Tom Rayholm is the chair, is that correct?
Yes.
So if someone has a referral, now is that someone that's out in the community or is that yourself? The referral comes from who again?
Well, if I receive a letter in the mail or a phone call, what I will do is, if I don't make the council referral, I can contact Chairman Rayholm and say, hey, Tom, I got a constituent that's concerned about 4-way stop signs on a particular street, and is this something that we can get agendaed onto the Public Works Committee? At that time, it'll be up to the chairperson if that goes into the packet that we'll get for that committee meeting or not. Otherwise, if I just find out about the issue and we're going to council, then I'll wait until our council meeting and I can make the referral from the floor too. But before stuff goes into the packet, there is checks to make sure that we're not duplicating issues or bringing something up. Sometimes issues that were discussed in the past do need to be brought up again, and then we can make another referral and follow up on it as well.
Well, this is a good way for citizens to get involved with government instead of maybe complaining about an issue or just not sure. They can take it up with their alderperson and say, what about this? I see this road is really bad in front of my house. I'm not happy with it. What can you do? Then you could actually make that referral if you want to, or on their behalf, right?
Yep.
Because they can't just come right into a meeting and start talking about something that's not on the agenda. Is that correct?
That is correct. And that again goes to if there's an issue that someone wants to talk about, it has to be noticed 48 hours in advance. And our meetings are governed in such a manner that you just can't, if you're talking about potholes and roads, you can't start coming in talking about curbs and gutters without having it properly agended.
Well, it sounds like a process. Otherwise, nothing really would get done, and you'd be there for 6-7 hours at a meeting. Nothing would get done. But let's talk a little bit about the council. A lot of times, you guys can refer a person out into the audience. I know that's not part of the referral process, but I'm just curious, if someone would like to speak, you guys, or the mayor, I believe, have to acknowledge them, but it has to be on that topic that's on the agenda. Is that correct?
What will happen is we have the whole council agenda, and the council agenda it's always made up of what the 3 main committees have done: our Human Resources Committee, our Property and Finance Committee, and our Public Works Committee. There might be some other community action items on there that'll be on there. If people want to come in and speak on that, again, anything when it goes to the full council, that's noticed 48 hours prior to the council meeting. And if someone wants to come into the audience and they feel very strongly about something, they can come in and speak on that item, and usually everyone's recognized, but it's limited to 5 minutes to speak on that. They just ask you to identify yourself, where you're from, and then you can speak on that as well.
Alrighty, well, the referral process is really to get involved before the council meeting. That's really one of the things you're trying to get out. So if people want to get involved, they really need, on an issue, they need to get it up right away, and these committee meetings are really important. That's what they should come to those.
The committee meetings is really where it seems like everything is hammered out. The committee meetings don't have the 5-minute speaking stipulation on them like the full council meeting does, but what generally happens is the idea or what is going to happen is hammered out in the committee, and it's voted on in the committee, and then it goes up to the full council for the vote. And as I was running for council, I was given some advice that you generally go with what the committees recommend. So like, for example, if Property and Finance Committee was recommending something, generally you go with that recommendation unless I was there to really dive into everything that committee talked about. It's you have to trust in what that committee decided.
So 2/3 votes, 2/3 of the committee have to pass the piece on the agenda, is that correct?
That's correct.
And then it would go to council. Or you could send it back to committee, you have that power as well.
Yes, it can go back to committee from the council.
Okay, so you serve again on the Public Works Committee.
Yep.
Any other committees that you serve on?
I am also on the Parks and Rec Commission as
All right,
well.
so commission and committees, they're a little different, is that right?
Yep.
Commissions are made up of community members, not the council, is that right? Plus some people that are on the council.
Yes, generally on the commissions, I believe there's 1 or 2 alderpersons. And then, as you said, on the commissions, it's like on the Parks and Rec, we obviously have our Park and Rec director that heads that commission up, and we have some other various community members that are involved with that commission as well too, where the committees are we have the 3 standing committees, and they are 3 alderpersons each on the committees.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for that information on all the referral process and how that really works. I know it can be very confusing, and if people have questions, they can always call City Hall, talk to you, talk to the mayor. Right now we don't have a clerk, but we hopefully soon will.
Well, and as far as calling City Hall, if again, I would just urge, if you want to talk to me, you can call me direct on my cell phone, and because City Hall, they don't want to field phone calls from me necessarily.
Sure, yeah, not for you. So yeah, directly want to talk to you, give you a call right on your cell phone. So there's a number of projects that you've seen the city being getting involved with, and I think this is some time that we can talk about them. I think that's something you would like to talk about. We've got the Riverfront project, the pool partnership, large trucks, all this kind of stuff. Let's just talk about let's talk about the Riverfront project. That's one of the biggest projects that's going on right now, and let's have you your process and what you've been involved with. You can tell our viewers.
Well, the first time I really seen the Riverfront project unrolled was, I believe, when it was brought up at our August council meeting. There's a lot of neat and interesting ideas in there. There's I think it's something worth taking a look at. But I think the phasing project to implement it over a 5-year time is a good way to go about it. But I think we need to find out where the public stands on it. We certainly have a number of other issues facing the city at this time too. State Highway 13 going through the south part of town, down by where Walmart and all that activity down there is. That road needs a lot of fixing up. We are in discussion on what to do with our municipal swimming pool as well too. And we have a lot of things to look at, and I want to really stress the importance that when I go to council and I vote, it's very easy for me to have my own opinion about something and vote my own opinion, but that's, in my heart of hearts, that's not what I'm elected to do. What I'm elected to do is have the bigger conversation with the people within my district and find out what they want to do, and then carry their voice at the council, because that is the most important part of a representative democracy, is doing the will of the people, not the will of the individual that's elected. I definitely think the riverfront is something worth exploring, but I think we need to have find a way to make sure that it's sustainable, along with our other projects that we have going on as well too.
You're telling me though that the people have a voice and you want to hear from them, because you don't want to be the person that makes the only decision. You want to hear. So for them to be involved, they really need to, again, when this comes up on the agenda, or even if it's not the agenda, is to call you and talk to you. You're here to call them back, answer their questions, hear from them. If they want a pool, they don't want a pool, they want this project, what about the riverfront? You're here to listen to them and encourage their feedback. So first of all, committee, if it's on the agenda, their best bet is to keep up with city government by looking maybe on the city website for the agenda to know what's on, or just common communication of what's happening, so they can then ask you. So I know one thing that you were talking about is some of these, I believe even at the last committee meeting maybe, or something with the trucks that are going through some residential areas.
Yep, that was something that started shortly after I got elected. I'd gotten a lot of phone calls on that. The 5th District, just to give you some idea where it is, if you take the far east boundary, it would be 11th Street, and if you could make 11th Street go to Spring Street, that would pretty much be your eastern boundary down to the expressway. The expressway itself is the southern boundary of the district, and Lincoln Street to Jackson is Lincoln to Jackson is the western boundary, and then it follows the river up. And there's a little chunk that sticks over Spring Street past the railroad tracks, but it's a thin, narrow district, kind of in the northeast section of the city. We do have a warehouse located in the district, and as I alluded, this is something that started shortly after I got elected. We have large trucks that are coming down Apricot Street. They will go down Baker Street to 11th and then pick up Plover Street to get to 1st. They will go north on A Street past the last set of lights to Washington up to 11th. I've had complaints of trucks going down Avon Street, Drake Street, all these very residential neighborhoods. Where there's concerns that you have homeowners that park their vehicles on the side of the road. If you have one car on each side of the road, now you're going to try to fit a big rig through there. It presents a challenging situation. In the summertime, you have kids playing and biking in these areas. With families, it presents safety concerns, and the fact that these are residential streets, not really built to handle the weight of large trucks. You have citizens that are concerned about the cost of road repair, because we are a city that if we have to replace the road in front of your house, you're going to pick up a certain portion of that on your tax bill. So I identified this issue, and it was something that Chairman Rayom was kind enough to put on the Public Works Committee agenda. We talked about it. The very first approach that I had to it was to duplicate an idea that they have in Marshfield, which was in Marshfield, all the street signs that are designated as truck routes are yellow signed. And then the non-truck routes are green sign roads. And we batted this around the Public Works Committee for a while. And cost and effectiveness of the idea became a concern. There were some other issues outside of the district where it was brought up that large trucks are potentially an issue. But it really wasn't sure what direction, if we should do this citywide or do it for a portion of the city. What come out of it by September was they were going to look at the area where the trucks are, and the thing was to have increased law enforcement patrols on Baker Street and some of the residential areas, and try to eliminate some of the more confusing signage, so any of our large vehicle traffic coming in off of 54 West heading towards Rapids would be able to pick up Spring Street and make their deliveries to the warehouse, and try to make some accommodations for trucks coming from the west heading east, so they could make some accommodations. And there was also talk of reaching out to the local business to make sure that truckers know where they're going, and doing something to work with the GPS providers so that the truck routes were better updated in GPS. Despite that, in September, it's now November, it didn't happen overnight, and the problem didn't go away. And I've gotten some more phone calls from citizens that said, hey, this problem's still here, this is still happening. So at our last council meeting for November, I did make the referral for it to go back to Public Works again, so that citizens can come in and talk to the committee and the various members of the city departments that are there, so they can say what's going on with these trucks, and that we can hopefully find an issue that will be beneficial to the residents and beneficial to the business that's in the area, and even helpful to the truckers to try to get the issue to resolve itself.
Well, let's talk about, we got a few more minutes here, Stephen. Leaf collection system, is that something that needs to be looked at here in the city?
It is something that the Public Works Committee is exploring. We're looking at some trucks in different styles of leaf collection, and really it's for convenience for residents. There's been a lot of talk that Port Edwards utilizes the leaf collection system, and I should probably explain this. The vacuum leaf collection system would be where when you're raking your lawn in the fall, you can take all the leaves and pine needles and you can just simply rake them into the gutter, and the city will come by with a truck that'll have a vacuum system hooked up to it, and they'll just run by the curb and they'll vacuum up that leaf and pine needle and all that other stuff. They do ask that there's no like sticks, stones, or anything in there, because that'll damage the collection system. And generally, what they'll do before the leaf collection system will come out is they'll run the street sweepers by to get all the debris off the road to ensure that the vacuum system stays functional. But it's been something that's talked about, versus residents having to go to the compost and drop the stuff off. If this is something that the people want, if they would be interested in the leaf collection system. Right now, from what's kind of being discussed at Public Works Committee, is if we were to get this system, it would be implemented in 2016, because we are now at this point in time obviously past leaf collection time. But it's something that I think we're going to be discussing at Public Works over time. And if this is something that, again, this is one of those things, if it's something that people want, please let me know and I will advocate for it. Or if it's something you don't think we need, let me know that as well, and I'll speak on it.
Yeah, because if it's something the residents really do want, to get it in front of the committee, they have to contact someone, and you're offering that to hear and listen to what they want to say. So right now they currently have to do bags, I believe, right? And it's only once a year, is that right?
Yes.
I think it's once a year, and then the street crew picks those up. So I guess you guys will be looking at. Stay tuned to what's happening, is really find out what's going on. It's not going to happen tomorrow or maybe next year. We'll see what happens. So Stephen, is there anything else that you want to bring to our viewers' attention in regards to yourself or Public Works, what might be coming up?
Well, no, but one thing I do want to talk about is it's going to be the next big thing for the city, probably just as big as the riverfront is. We do have a little bit with municipal swimming pool. Our Mead pool is aged. They said the average life in an outdoor swimming pool in Wisconsin is 25 years, and I believe the Mead pool was built in 1977. So we've already exceeded the maximum life expectancy for that pool. There have been a couple options presented of what to do. Any of the options to keep the Mead pool open at this point would involve walling off the diving wall, which would reduce the pool capacity, and it'd probably be no deeper than a 4-foot pool. We have, I guess the summary of the options are, we can throw, metaphorically speaking, we can dump a little bit of money into it and throw a Band-Aid on it and hope that we can open it up next year. We can do that with looking at neighborhood splash pads. For a price tag of, I think it was $3 to $5 million, we can look at building another outdoor pool. Or the YMCA has approached the city, and they have talked about building an aquatic center. The aquatic center would be 3 swimming pools. What they're kind of looking at is one 8-lane competition pool, a multi-purpose pool, and a family fun pool. And yes, the city would have to obviously invest in this too, but the YMCA would be investing in this as well. Some other people would be investing in it, and it would be an indoor facility that would offer year-round access. And as the YMCA pointed out, this would be something that with the 8-lane competition pool, we could have high school swim meets in the area, or when the YMCA swim teams have competitions, that could be something in the area too. But it's something that the citizens need to guide the conversation on as to what they want to do with the Mead pool, or do we want another outdoor pool, or do we want to look at the partnership with the YMCA? Do we want to look at having community splash pads? So it's another one of those conversations that I'm willing to have with the people of the city, is to figure out what they want to do as far as swimming and aquatics go.
Yeah, so you want to hear from the residents, because those are the ones that are using it. Most likely you guys aren't in there all the time, but maybe with family, but the residents. So possibly go on Park and Rec Commission or Public Works. I guess you're on both committees, or a commission and a committee. We don't know. I guess it kind of goes back and forth, right?
Yeah, and I know the Parks and Rec Commission has been looking at stuff with the Mead pool, but I guess right now the general idea is that to do anything with the Mead pool, there's no guarantees in it. I mean, we could put that Band-Aid on it, but after it sits through this winter, there's no guarantee that by springtime something else won't be identified to where the pool will be inoperable next year. And it's something that we want to try to aggressively fix, so the kids have some place to go during the summer and something to do during that time.
Exactly. But I think from your point of view, you want to hear from your people in your district. What do they want? Tell me, and then we can go from there. So that's really the first step. Hear from the residents, so you can make more of an educated decision, and go from there. That's really just getting involved. So nothing's happening right now, but
well, I guess the way I look at it is ultimately the city collects their money through taxes, and at the council we decide how that money is going to be spent, but it's just not my individual opinion on how we're going to allocate the taxpayers' dollars and what they're going to be spent on. I would really want to know what the people of the district that I represent, what they feel is reasonable for their tax dollars to be spent on, and I'm willing to listen to them and have those conversations, and I would encourage anyone that wants to contact me on this stuff to please do so.
Well, one more time, have you give them your phone number, possibly email? Go ahead and tell our viewers that.
Yeah, absolutely. If you'd like to give me a call, it's 715-697-3192. It's a cell number, so I'm not in the phone book, sorry. If you do want to send me an email, my city email address is Koth, that's SKOTH, at wirapids.org. So please feel free to contact me if you'd like to do so.
All righty, Stephen, thank you so much for joining us today here and get to know your city. I appreciate that. A lot of fun to know what's going on from your vantage point. And again, you encourage residents to give you a call again on anything that they see that they want to talk about. It's a way to get it in front of on your table, and possibly a referral, which we talked about earlier in this program. But thanks again.
Well, thank you.
We'll talk again soon.
All right, thank you.